to announce Matt McCall will be the head coach of the Gators ESPN TBT tournament. So, Matt, welcome to the show, my friend.
Guys, appreciate you having me on. Excited to talk some hoops, excited to talk some Gators, and obviously spending 11 years at the University of Florida. Place is near and dear to my heart. I grew up a Gator. My dad played football there in the 60s with Coach Spurrier. So there was just something about that orange and blue that I'm always tied to. And now to be able to come back here and work with Brian and be a part of Gataverse, I'm super excited about it.
Well, we're excited, man. Well, let's give a quick background for who you are. Matt McCall was a student manager at UF. Like he said, his dad, Wayne, played at UF on the football team. Matt was a student manager in 02-03, continued along with the program. I was there during that 06 time where he's the director of basketball operations. He was hired as an assistant coach in 2008 at FAU, then held that position until 2011, then went to University of Florida as an assistant. Then he went over to UT-Chatanooga, following Will Wade there in 2015, and then was most recently at the University of Massachusetts. So, Matt, man, tell us a little bit about your story, and we'll get into all the TBT stuff as well, but tell us a little bit about your story and about what that was like working at the heyday of Florida Gators basketball.
Yeah, man, it was unbelievable. And growing up in Ocala, Florida, like I said, my father was a middle linebacker and finished in 1967. So in 1966, played with Coach Spurrier, and my family and the Spurrier family were extremely close. And through this organization that my dad's teammates had called Silver 60s, with all the guys that played in the 60s at the University of Florida, was able to develop a relationship with Jeremy Foley. And I'll never forget when I decided to transfer to the University of Florida, started my career off at Stetson, was going to be a preferred walk-on there. But there was just something that didn't feel right. I grew up a Gator. Why am I not at the University of Florida? Both my sisters are at the University of Florida. All my friends went to the University of Florida. I'm supposed to be a Gator. And I transferred in there, and I'll never forget, I sat outside of Jeremy Foley's office, and his secretary at the time, Patty, was like, I don't know when he's going to be back. And I thought, well, do you think he'd mind if I just waited? I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it was a good amount of time. And Jeremy walked in and said, Matt, what are you doing here? And I said, Jeremy, I want to be a fly on the wall with the basketball team, whatever that may be. Can I be a student manager? Is there any way you can get me in with Coach Donovan? And my first in wasn't with Coach Donovan. My first in was with Donnie Jones, who's now the head coach at Stetson. Had a meeting with Coach Jones. We talked about me being a student manager, and then kind of worked my way up from there. And my first year with the team was Udonis Haslam's senior year. So I got to really get my foot in the door at a very special time. And then just to see the program grow and mature, I think that's the biggest thing that I saw from Coach Donovan, was just his ability to grow and mature as a coach through that time, getting knocked out in the first and second round of the NCAA tournament. Then we win an SEC championship in 2005, SEC tournament championship with David Lee, Matt Walsh, and Anthony Roberson. Horford, Noah, and Green were all freshmen on that team. And then we know what happened after that. And to have a front row seat for the 06 and 07 years was like nothing other. And you alluded to it. After that 07 season, was with the team as the director of ops one more year, and walked into Coach Donovan's office and said, Coach, I want to be a coach. I'm so appreciative of the opportunities that you provided me here, but it's time for me to be a coach. And he said, well, Matt, if you go out and get experience as an assistant coach, I will hire you back. And that's exactly what I did. He hounded Mike Jarvis. Him and Larry Shiat called Mike Jarvis, I think, every single day until Mike Jarvis picked up the phone. I got in my Chevy Trailblazer. I drove to Boca Raton, Florida. I met with Coach Jarvis, and he hired me on the spot. And was down there for 3 years. We won a conference championship, something they hadn't done until this year with Dusty May.
Yeah.
An unbelievable year they had. But and then Coach was a man of his word. He hired me back, and was a part of the Final Four in 2014 as an assistant coach.
So what
with
you're
again
saying,
some great players.
What you're saying, Matt, is if FAU wants to be successful, they need to hire some former Florida Gator coaches to be either assistant coaches or head coaches, right?
It's worked out so far. It's worked out so far.
So. Matt, we've talked to a lot of folks that have been managers, in basketball or football or a variety of different sports. But for those that may not know, what exactly does a student manager do? for you in particular, the basketball program?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of everything, right? And I started, there was, 3 or 4 people above me when I first got to the University of Florida. And it was, hey, you're going to do the grunt work. You're going to sweep the floor. You're going to pass out the water bottles. You're going to do the laundry. You're going to make sure the locker room's clean. You're going to do all those types of things. And no job was too small. And I think once you show assistant coaches, director of ops, when you're in that managerial role that, hey, I'm here to serve the program, it can turn into something much, much bigger. Everyone has dreams and aspirations. A lot of student managers want to be coaches. Well, you have to show an ability to serve the program and add to the culture that's taking place at that point in time. And that's what I tried to do. And I was very, very fortunate that I was able to develop relationships with some great assistant coaches, Donnie Jones, Anthony Grant, Larry Shyatt, Tom Ostrom. Those were the guys that were there, John Pelfrey. And I get to watch and learn from them at a young age, that when I did get an opportunity, I was prepared because I had a front row seat for some of the best assistant coaches in the country.
Billy had some of the best assistants, best players. He had some great coach at the University of Florida. What do you attribute that to? Well,
I think it all started with him. One, his work ethic, but two, the way he treated people, from the student managers to the janitor to the person cleaning up the building to the secretaries. Billy has an ability to not only demand a lot out of you, but really treat people the right way. And I think that same mindset he took to recruiting, and everybody could feel that and feel that energy from him. I also think that you look at his tenure at the University of Florida, he really evolved as a coach in terms of who can he coach. And he got that time and to grow and learn. And, from when he first got there to going after all 5 stars and McDonald's All-Americans and the Mike Millers, the Donnell Harveys, the Kwame Browns, those types of players too. Hey, we're going to sprinkle in a McDonald's All-American here and there, but we're also going to have guys that want to be a 4-year player and want to develop. I mean, you look at that 2014 Final Four team that was ranked number 1 in the country for the large portion of the year, and then just kind of ran into a buzzsaw versus UConn in the Final Four with Shabazz Napier and Boatwright. But, man, those guys were 4-year guys. Patrick Young was a McDonald's All-American, but Casey Prather developed. Scotty Wilbekin developed into SEC Player of the Year. Will Yeget didn't play much as a freshman, but developed into an unbelievable player on that team. Mike Frazier, same thing. So, I think seeing him evolve as a coach and who he could coach and who he did best with out there on the floor. But I think it all goes back to who he is as a person, his character, and how he treats people.
I love that. Well, Matt, let's talk a little bit about the TBT tournament that you guys have going on, the 2023. It's called the Basketball Tournament. ESPN puts it on. Matt McCall and Taureen Green are going to be the coaches there. The roster right now includes Corey Brewer, Kayvon Allen, Keith Stone, Igor Kulichev, Lee Humprey, Walter Hodge, all names that you guys are familiar with. But talk to us a little bit about how you got involved, and then a little bit about, the tournament and about, coaching in a 3-on-3 tournament and kind of all that jazz.
Well, we gotta make sure we make note that Taureen Green is a player coach.
Coach.
Taureen's going to be suited up and he's going to be out there. I've been on his tail to make sure he's running suicides in that Gator practice facility, make sure he's getting in shape. You know what? It's funny. Last summer, me and Taureen were at Coach Donovan's house in Crescent Beach, and that's where Coach's home base is, right? When you're in the NBA, you see these NBA coaches. Everybody kind of has a home base, and Coach and his family always loved Crescent Beach, so they built their home over there on the water on Crescent Beach, and Coach and Christine spent a lot of time there in the summer when Coach is not getting ready for the draft or doing things like that. So we were all up there at his house. I was there. Donnie Jones was there. Anthony Grant was there. A lot of members from our staffs. Oliver Winterbone, Tom Williams. There was just a lot of people over at Coach's house. And I was sitting there talking to Torian, and I was like, why does Florida not have a TBT team? And me and my family moved to Florida after the UMass stuff happened, and we moved down here to South Florida, and where me and my wife met. But I drove up there, and I was kind of interested. We're watching the TBT. It was early August when we were up at Coach's house. I said, why is there not a Florida TBT Team. And Taureen's like, we should have one. And then it kind of evolved, and Brian Klatsky and Taureen have a relationship there. And I kept in touch with Taureen all year. I said, Taureen, are you going to coach the team or are you going to play? Which one is it going to be? I said, if you're going to coach the team, and let me know how I can help anyway. If you're thinking about playing, let me know, and I'll help out coaching if that's what you want to do. So had an initial phone call with Brian, and he wanted me to come on board, and I'm excited about it. We get 4 days to train, and almost like a mini training camp up in Gainesville. So it'll be great to be back on campus. I know Todd Golden is excited to welcome us into the facility and be able to use the practice facility for our training camp. And then we're off to Louisville to play. So still finalizing the roster. I think that there's a lot of players out there, especially players that are overseas whose seasons are still continuing. It's kind of challenging for them to commit right now on the spot. But what I do think, in talking with Brian and talking with Taureen, I think we're optimistic too, with this being year one. Guys are going to see the excitement around the tournament. Guys are going to see this team having fun, and guys are going to want to be a part of this going forward. It's great exposure. All the games are on ESPN, and you see, this is high level basketball. For those that haven't watched the tournament on ESPN in late July, early August, this is high level basketball. There's $1 million on the line, and man, there's some really good players that play in this tournament.
Talk to us a little bit about the tournament itself. What's the format? Obviously, we know it's 3-on-3, but what's the format? What does that week in Louisville look like?
Yeah, it's 5-on-5.
5-on-5. What do I know?
It is like the NCAA tournament. It's single elimination. Ball is thrown up, and you feel like you're playing in the NCAA tournament. And basically, you win 3 games at the regional sites. There's a bunch of different regions. I know Dayton has a region. I know there's a region in West Virginia. Just kind of spread out throughout the country. Louisville's a region. Louisville has a team with some very good players on it. So essentially, if you get matched up with Louisville, you're going to be playing a road game, which will be pretty exciting because we know those Louisville fans are going to show up. You watch this Dayton TBT team. I've played at Dayton, 5 years. Every single year I was at UMass, we played there 1 year at Chattanooga. Dayton fans loves their hoops, whether it's the college team that's coached by Anthony Grant or their TBT team. Those Dayton fans are going to be in the building, and it's going to be the same thing for Louisville in that region. It's going to be a road game, but it's just single elimination, and you got to advance. You win 3 games, you advance to the finals, which are in Philadelphia.
And then there's a big prize at the end, right? $1 million? $1
million on the line, split amongst the team. So again, those guys that are playing overseas and guys are making good money overseas, this is also another way to supplement that income. But play with some of your college teammates, get to be able to go back to your college campus and really, the camaraderie, the memories you shared, the time you put into your school to be able to come back and be a part of something like this is really exciting.
How chippy do these games get, man?
Man. There's guys that want that $1 million now. So yeah. It gets pretty chippy. So, it's competitive. It's super competitive. Again, for anybody that hasn't watched it, it's exciting. It really is. And, man, these guys, pride's on the line, but $1 million is on the line. And, split up amongst 10 guys, that's a lot of money out there.
For sure.
And Matt, you coached almost all of these guys, right? I think Keith Stone, maybe you guys didn't cross paths, but I think just about maybe Igor Kulichev, but I know Corey Brewer, Kayvon Allen, Lee Humprey, Walter Hodge. Those are all guys that were under your purview at some point, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Keith and Kayvon, we recruited. That was a part of our last recruiting class.
Okay.
I got the Chattanooga job literally 3 weeks before Coach Donovan accepted the Oklahoma City Thunder job. And those guys were coming in as incoming freshmen. So we never got an opportunity to coach them, but we recruited them. Again, when Mike White got the job at Florida and Dusty May, me and Dusty had a connection there. I was one of the guys that was trying to help keep those guys together. And hey, listen, when this is who you need to call for this player, this is who you need to call for that player. And, a lot of times in those types of situations, the signees don't stay. And Keith and Kayvon did, along with Kavarius Hayes. Those guys decided to stay with Mike White and Dusty May and the rest of the staff. And are essentially one game away from making a Final Four with that team.
Matt, what else do you want to give us? I know you guys are going to be doing an open gym session in July. Do you guys have a date finalized for that yet there in Gainesville?
The date is not finalized yet. I think it's probably – we're shooting for July 23rd.
Okay.
Where we would have an exhibition game followed up with an autograph session and quite possibly a VIP party at Coach Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. I know we're working on all those types of things to finalize it, but again, and not just having the team, the TBT team at these events, but trying to get as many former Florida Gators as possible, former Florida Gator basketball players as possible back at that event, in town. Try to get Coach Donovan there. Try to get anybody that's meant a lot to that program back in town for that weekend to be a part of this and see the excitement that we're trying to create with the Gataverse team, and want to be a part of it going forward.
Perfect. Silk, you got anything, or I want to jump off of TBT and a few other things?
No, that's it, man. But once Big Desmond Watson he starts playing college ball, if you guys need a guy on the block and the post, man, I think you guys need to give him a call to clear the paint out.
No question about it. I thought about calling a couple of these football players too that we always try to get. We had Cornelius Ingram. He played both his freshman year. I was always trying to get Jacoby Brissett to come over because he was a big-time player, and we'd go down there to Dwyer and Palm Beach Gardens.
Palm Beach kid, for sure.
Yeah, Palm Beach. So, no, we're still piecing together this entire roster, but we're excited about it, and, man, we're going to go out there and compete.
Well, if you need anybody that's really good with outlet passes, just let me know. I'm not much of a shooter, but great passer, not a great ball handler.
You get really up the floor, Dan. You can snap it up there.
Yeah. That's all. Put me at the top of the key, and if you need me to put the ball where it needs to be, that's what my role was when I was playing basketball. I was a hockey guy. Whenever we'd play pickup basketball, my role was always the assist guy. Maybe have 15, 18 total points in my career in all those pickup games, but dozens and dozens of assists. But Matt, want to go back. Obviously, I know you coach at UT-Chatanooga, you coach at UMass, and you've kind of seen the change of college basketball has always been a little bit different than football when it comes to recruiting and keeping players and everything else. But want to kind of get your pulse on things of what you've seen with name, image, and likeness and a lot of those changes in college basketball and college sports over the last few years. So I know you were at UMass when everything got instituted, but talk to us a little bit about dealing with NIL from the basketball front. We've never really talked much about that on this program.
I mean, you got to think too, just what college coaches have had to deal with here the last 3 to 4 years. I mean, we're talking, we had COVID, we have NIL, and we have the transfer portal, and everything really hits all at the same time. And we lacked leadership in the NCAA too during all this, and everything's kind of a moving target of, okay, what are we doing? What are the parameters? We're just coming out of COVID, and right when we're out of COVID, which everyone's lives were turned upside down, college athletics lives were turned upside down. It really based on it kind of became political in terms of which state you were in. Or this state played more games in this state, and this, that, and the other. And then coming out of that, hey, oh, by the way, here we go. Name, image, and likeness and transfer portal. Go. You guys figure it out. And it's not easy. And it hasn't been easy for these coaches. And am I a fan of college athletes being compensated for their name and their image? Absolutely. But to have both things hit at the exact same time, and really we have no one in the NCAA who's setting parameters on anything and lack leadership in terms of that, that has been very challenging for these coaches to deal with. Really, really challenging. You can meet with a player as many times as you want. You can invest, you can spend time, you can do all these types of things. But when your phone goes, hey, coach, can we meet? And it may be 3 or 4 weeks after the season, you think this player's in, especially at the mid-major level, and you get that text that says, hey, coach, can we meet? You know what's coming. I'll never forget, I had a situation, I think it was probably 4 or 5 weeks after the season. Coach, I'm in, coach, I'm in, coach, I'm in. Then all of a sudden you get that text, hey, coach, can we meet? because, you know, we may find out that an SEC school or an ACC school will take him. And now all of a sudden throw on top of that, they can compensate him. It's been a lot for coaches to deal with at every single level. And, you know, it's such a moving target. And then on top of that, still, you've got the COVID year. I mean, there's been so many. I ran into a player the other day, told me where he played. And I said, well, what year are you? And he said, well, I'm a senior, but I got 2 years left. It's like, man, at some point we're going to get past the 27, 28-year-old seniors playing college hoops, college football still. So everything hit at the same time. And that's just been so much for these coaches to deal with and try to manage.
Well, go ahead, Phil.
No, I didn't have anything off of that.
Matt, in your mind, this is maybe my final question. In your mind, what kind of guardrails do you think are going to continue to get put into place to kind of help college coaches, right? I mean, we talk a lot about it in football and basketball as well, but there just never seems to be a slowdown, right? It's recruiting and then the portal and then recruiting and then the season and spring practice and everything else that you have going in there. And obviously the basketball season's a lot longer. Do you think there's going to be some guardrails put into place, or do you think it's just going to kind of be, this is the new business as usual?
I mean, I think the leadership has got to step in and place those guardrails. Everyone wants to talk about salary caps in terms of NIL. Are they going to put a salary cap on it and try to even the playing field? I don't know that we're anywhere near that happening. You know, I used to always think, you know, even for me as a head coach, I was a head coach for 7 years. Once the clock hit zero and the season was over, and there's only one team that gets to hoist that trophy at the end of the year. But once the clock hits zero, that time from really March up until about right now, and I know there's a deadline in terms of when you have to enter your name into the transfer portal, that was the most stressful time as a coach. It wasn't the game prep. It wasn't, you know, you win a game, you lose a game. None of that. It was right now and trying to see what exactly is my team going to look like next season. Who's leaving, who's staying, all those types of things. These coaches, they, you know, back in the day before the whole transfer portal stuff, man, the season ended and you at least had a second to catch your breath. There's no second to catch your breath anymore. It's go, go, go. And I don't foresee that changing anytime in the near future just because of the transfer portal. You know, you finalizing your roster, not knowing what your roster is going to look like really up until June 1st. Puts a lot of stress on these coaches, and it makes it, in my opinion, the most difficult time of the year.
Yeah. I don't envy you all. It's a hard time right now. I know a lot of people just expect that you guys are going to give your life away, you know, 2,080 hours plus a week or a year, but it's a lot. And I don't envy you, and I know that they're looking to potentially put some guardrails in there to allow you guys to at least have some part of your life. I know Nick Saban came out the other day and said he expects his football coaches to work 7 days a week for 46 weeks out of the year. So hopefully at some point there's some additional.
I think you bring up a great point, Dan, and you know, this is just for the casual fans understanding exactly everything that goes into it. And yes, there are certain coaches that are paid a lot of money and expectations are high, and you've got to go out there and compete. You've got to go out there and win games, and it's not for lack of trying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's and these coaches that are trying to navigate the landscape today. You got to give coaches opportunities to grow, to develop, to learn who they are. You know, Matt Painter said this to me over the summer. I had an opportunity to spend some time with him. He said he was so grateful for the athletic director at Purdue because he gave him time. He gave him time to learn who he could coach, learn who he wanted to recruit, and take some lumps early. And it's not something that coaches can figure out just in 2 years or their third year as a head coach. You got to give them some time to grow and develop. And I know fans want to win, and fans want to win right away. And, you know, but again, let coaches learn. Let them figure out how to navigate today's landscape. Let them learn how to grow and develop into, you know, becoming the best version of themselves that they can possibly become. So early on in my coaching career, I tried to be Billy Donovan because, I was with Billy for 11 years and he was having all this success. And, man, I can't be Billy Donovan. I got to be Matt McCall. And it took me a while to learn that. And really going through a difficult time, getting let go at UMass, taking a step back and evaluating, kind of where things went wrong. I put a lot of thought into that. And I think that had a lot to do with it. You got to be Matt McCall. What are my values? And you got to learn and grow as a coach, and just got to give these coaches, young coaches especially, some time to learn and develop who they are, who they can coach, and how can they be the best version of themselves.
Man, I
Well
love
said.
it, man. Well, Matt, it was an absolute pleasure having you on today. Certainly best of luck to you guys in that TBT tournament over there in Louisville. And then hopefully you said Pittsburgh or Philadelphia? Probably Philadelphia. Right? Yeah, Philadelphia. Well, we're certainly rooting you on. We're looking forward to seeing the rest of that roster. But right now we have Matt McCall as head coach, Taureen Green as player coach, Corey Brewer, Kayvon Allen, Keith Stone, Igor Kulichev, Lee Humprey, and Walter Hodge. That is a great roster, I think. And, man,
Legends.
Looking forward to hearing some Lee for three again.
Boy, that'd be nice. It was back in the day. It was layups, dunks, and Lee Humprey. That was the motto. We're going to try to bring that back a little bit. Layups, dunks, and Lee Humprey. We're going to get that going.
I love it, man. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Matt. If people want to follow you on social media, keep up with everything else, where can people follow you and find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, at Coach Matt McCall. Hit me up. Again, excited to be a part of this. Excited to be back in Gainesville for 4 or 5 days. I know my parents are excited. They love that I'll be back close to home. So, hit me up and looking forward to connecting with as many Gators. And if there's any Gators down here, I'm in Palm Beach County. Any Gators want to reach out to me down in this area as well, would love to connect.
Silk is your 5'6" guy.
Let's go, Silk. Where are you at, Silk? Where are you at in Palm Beach?
I'm in the Villages, right off of near Palm Beach Lakes High School, all of that.
Okay. Well, any kids that want to work out too, I've been doing some stuff with Perseverance. They got gyms all over Palm Beach County.
Oh,
so
for sure.
Make sure you hit me up, man.
I will do. Thanks a lot, Coach.
All right, guys.